Good morning. Good. It is a good morning. Jesus is Lord over this morning, just like every other morning. The Word works, and I'm rejoicing. Romans 12:2. Be not conformed to this world. Now that don't mean don't run with them that drink, smoke, and chew and all that other stuff. And I'm not supposed to do that. I understand that. But be not conformed. Don't be sick like the world. Don't be broke like the world. Don't be miserable like the world. Don't sit there and just worry and wring your hands. Oh my God, what are we going to do, dear Lord? What are we going to do about this election? We're going to believe God. We're going to pray, and God's going to turn our nation. Glory be to God. The last 4 years have been wonderful, and I believe the next 4 is going to be wonderful. And what am I going to do about paying my bills? I'm not worried about that. I'm transformed by the renewing of my mind, and I know that God's going to meet my needs according to his riches and glory. Now watch. Be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Not your heart. Now you guard your heart with all diligence, but you have to renew your mind. You have to learn to quit thinking like God thinks and talking like like the world thinks and talking like the world thinks, and start believing for and thinking like God thinks and talking like God thinks, and start receiving the God kind of faith that is victorious, dear Lord. I told you, we started in January. I think there's 2 little things on my list of suddenlies that I'm believing God for that hadn't already come to pass, and it hadn't been a full month yet, and God's granted the desires of my heart. I am so thrilled. I am so blessed. Paid off every little bill that we had. Only thing I owe is for my house. Just blessed, healed. Had some miracles take place in my life because I learned to believe what God said rather than what religion says. Be transformed. The word transformed comes from the same word that we get metamorphosis. You take an old caterpillar, about that long old caterpillar. He goes and makes him a cocoon, and scientists call it, he goes through metamorphosis. Every cell in that caterpillar's life is changed, and it starts from the head. You study it, you find that when he gets in there, beginning with the top of his head, everything in that old caterpillar, that old dirty caterpillar, don't do nothing but eat your plants up, is transformed. And after, several months, however long the process takes, he comes out of there as a beautiful butterfly. Now, what happened was he was transformed from one plain old ugly being into a beautiful being that can now create life and can now create joy for people that watch him fly around. He was transformed. This is what the word's talking about. Be ye transformed from an ugly old plain, just barely getting by person, transformed into a beautiful, life-bearing, life-producing, joy-producing, beauty-producing animal. Be transformed from yuck to blessings. Be transformed from sick, broke, horrible, miserable, to more than enough money, walking in perfect divine health, having your youth renewed like the eagle, enjoying the blessings of God, being able to do what you want to do because you physically can do it, being blessed. And hey, told you yesterday my bills are paid and I got some money left over. It's the first time I've been able to do that since, last year was a pretty tough year for us, but this year so far we've started out with some suddenlies here. And, I got more money right now left over than I think I've had in the last 4 or 5 years. I like being over here on the blessing side, redeemed from the curse that was over there, and blessed over here. Galatians chapter 3. Christ hath redeemed us, me and you, from the curse of the law. I like it. But you got to learn to think right and then talk right, and you got to renew your mind to what did God say about that. For instance, I told you yesterday, and I'll do it again. Well, thank God for the storm because it's clearing the path. No, don't thank God for the storm. Now, in the storm, thank God for deliverance. I fly my own plane. I've told you this before. Do everything I can to stay out of the storm. Man, getting into a storm in an airplane is not fun. You're not really much in control. You're there for the ride. I'm talking about big old thunderstorm. You steer yourself around those things. A pilot's got sense enough not to thank God for the storm and go looking for him and see if he can break his airplane. Well, a Christian ought to have enough sense not to be looking for a storm of life and thanking God for it and seeing if he can just enjoy it. No, that's stupid. That's what that is. That's religious stupidity. And the church has planted that on us until we think that we're supposed to just thank God for every bad thing that comes along. Quit being stupid, dumb, and thanking God for what the devil's doing, and resist the devil like Jesus did. Rebuke the storm, call for peace, and go on and be blessed of God. Be transformed. Pastor Frank, how do I do that? Go to the Word, meditate in the Word. You find a promise in the Scripture, you write it out, you claim it, you stand on the Word, you tell the devil, get bug out of here, I don't want to be messed with you anymore. We found promises in the Bible that very few people know about. Wonderful, happy marriage, Deuteronomy chapter 28. All the bad stuff that's in there, I'm redeemed from them by the redemptive act of what Jesus did on the cross. He took my bad marriage to give me a good marriage. He took my sin, my yuck, to give me righteousness and the right to go boldly into the throne room of God. We're blessed. I got to go. Renewing your mind, transforming, metamorphosis. That's where the joy of the Lord really comes in, not just because you got born again and you're going to church on Sunday, and I do that, and I am born again, but it's when you renew your mind to think like God, talk like God, know what to resist and what to receive. That's when the fun of being a Christian comes to pass. Hey, suddenly God's going to get you out of that mess and deliver you. So until I'm with you tomorrow, saints, remember, all day long, Jesus is Lord. And thank God the Word works.